What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay. We got Jacob in Wisconsin. We are live on YouTube, Rumble, and X. You can also find us in podcast form. Just search for Packernet Podcast, and that will you'll find our show and a bunch of other great content there. The great content is there, not ours, of course. Ours is just kind of dragging down the whole group, but that's the way it works. Boys, how we doing today?
Doing good, man. Ready to talk all the rumors that are coming out right now. Let's do it, man. Let's get spicy in here. I love it.
2-0 for this says, I was listening to last night's show via the pod, and when y'all asked what the stripper said is in the office, I immediately said secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. Tim, I think
secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
Wait for it. You gotta love the wow from Michael Scott.
He's blown
so
away.
Hopefully everybody's having a great day. Obviously, we're big Office fans here, and I'm sure everybody listening to my voice is as well. Respect Orange's Packers begin trade conversations with Jaire. Man, that's the topic of the day. Obviously, as Tim hinted at, he's really excited about hitting on this. As no big surprise here, but it kind of became official, I guess you could say. Ian Rappaport tweeting out, sources, the Packers have had trade conversations centered around star cornerback Jaire Alexander, and they are open to moving him for the right price. Alexander, still just 28 and a two-time Pro Bowler, is considered to be the most decorated cornerback available. So obviously you get some teams that might be in cornerback hell at the moment. Maybe they'll be willing to pay a premium. Let me give my take on this. Ian Rappaport tweeting this out. Hands down, this came from the agent. That's what this is about. So Jaire's agent has passed this information along through Ian Rappaport. I don't think Goody's stance has changed. It sounds like he wants to restructure the contract, is my honest opinion, which we've talked about since day one. Ja, of course, is going to push back on that if he wants to go somewhere else. To me, what this tweet says is it's confirmation from Jaire's camp that he'd just rather kind of move along. Now, does that mean he's going to get traded? In my opinion, no. But I think I'm officially off the 50%, staying in Green Bay. And I would say I'm 75% he's going to be traded, 25% he's going to be a Green Bay Packer. So let's start with you, Jacob. I know, Tim, we probably won't get much out of Tim on this topic, but how are you reading into this here, this Jaire news? Obviously, it's kind of become official in the public eye that they're seeking a trade.
Yeah, we've talked about it for a long time. There's just too much smoke for there not to be fire at this point. I would definitely move my meter from 50-50 to 75-25 that he's leaving as well. We talked about it a little bit last night. I don't personally have anything against him necessarily, just the combination of him not being healthy and some of the off-field and on-field stuff that kind of has been a detriment kind of to the team. I'm just kind of done with. I don't do well with drama. So the whole Jaire era to me is, I hate saying it, but hopefully coming to a close and we get paid or at least have some sort of compensation.
Definitely. All right. We got a few people chiming in here in the comments section. Tim, you got anything you want to add to the conversation here?
Yeah, just what Deadfish said. I believe Ja's traded when it happens. I'm still 50-50.
All right. There you go. Tim is 50-50. Ron Sample says 75% traded, 25% released, which means Ron Sample is saying 100% he thinks Ja will not play for the Packers again. I'm not quite there yet. I could see it being something that, if the trade isn't out there, if the interest in Jaire for the right price isn't out there, what's he going to do, Ron? You know what I mean? Like, the Packers could say, hey, we want you back. Is Ja just going to be like, no, I'm going to be an absolute sour apple until they cut me? And then that's going to hurt his value on another team as well, signing in free agency if he becomes a free agent. I'm not saying what you're saying isn't true. It could be the 75% traded, 25% release. But I do think that if teams see a player kind of hold another team's feet to the fire, like I'm not going to come in, I'm not going to do this, I might retire, I think that does hurt the value of that player signing with another team. Not that the team wouldn't sign him. Team will sign any player for the right price. We've seen that time and time again. So, that's kind of where we're at with Ja. And I thought it was interesting that Ian put that tweet out. I know most people looked at it like, well, this is a big nothing burger. This is what we've known all along. Again, putting things into context. We talk about when Spoon tweets about something, typically it's him trying to get information out for the team, in my humble opinion. But when Ian does something like this, it's definitely coming from Ja's camp, which tells me Ja does not want to be a Packer. That's the way I'm reading into it. So anything else in the chat here? I see you got a couple of things, Mark, but it might have been earlier. Oh, here we go. Drew D. We better not let Ja go for less than a second. Drew, I love you like a brother, but I really don't see us getting a second-round pick for Ja. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong, man. God, I hope I'm wrong. That would be awesome to get a second-round pick. I just don't see it happening. There's not enough leverage there. You know what I mean? Like the only way I could see you getting a second is if there's multiple teams approaching the Packers going, oh, we got to have that'd be our cornerback one. Let's go get him. When you played less than 50% of the snaps over the last however many years, I have a hard time believing a GM is going to give up a second-round pick for that. Now, could be a conditional second-round pick, right, guys? Like, hey, if he plays a certain amount of snaps, we'll give a second. If he plays 50% of the snaps, we'll give a fourth. If he plays 30% of the snaps on the season, we'll give a seventh, something like that. That probably makes the most sense for both clubs and, whichever clubs do decide to potentially offer a trade. I just don't think it's a slam dunk that teams are going to line up and trade for him. However, Ian's saying – he's considered to be the most decorated cornerback available. Who said that? That's the thing I'm looking at. Like, he's definitely the most talented, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's the one that's going to be the most. When they say most decorated corner, I was kind of surprised. 2-time Pro Bowler. You know what I mean? Like, I was thinking we'd have an All-Pro mention in there or something. I guess he never made the All-Pro team, did he?
No.
So that's interesting. Really, really interesting. Looking back on it, do you guys think we overpaid for Ja? That's the question I wanted to ask you guys. 0 All-Pros, 2-time Pro Bowler, right? Forget the last 3 years. Let's look at the whole – I say forget the last 3 years. Let's take the whole body of work. Do you think that final contract that we signed him to, do you guys think we overpaid there? Because you guys – the reason I ask this question is because you know how I feel about corners. I don't even have it in tier 2 of importance of the team, my personal opinion. So when you go throw the book at a corner like that, or throw the checkbook at him like, I don't know, man. I just don't feel like they can have as much of an impact as a 3-tech, as an edge defender, as a left tackle, as a quarterback. So I don't know how y'all feel. Chris N says overpay without question. But let's go around with that. What do y'all think?
I think corner is a lot like kicker, right? You it's not that important until you got a bad one, right? Or you have a bad group of corners, which we've seen before in Green Bay. So I can understand why they threw the money at him when they did, because we finally had a top tier talent at the position, and you wanted to lock him up for the long haul. The last 2 to 3 seasons did not unfold like we expected. And so I mean, hindsight's 2020. You look now and you probably overpaid, right? But I think at the time when they did this deal, they thought they'd get more of what they had in the previous couple of seasons before they extended him. So like I said, it's easy to look back now and say, yeah, of course we overpaid. But, it's kind of a bittersweet time for, guys like me who are Jaire fans. You can't predict injuries. You don't know, how a guy's career is going to unfold. But I do think, he kind of drew some attention to that cornerback position here in Green Bay and realized that, while I agree with you, Clayton, that it's not a tier 1 position of importance on that side of the ball, it's certainly more important than I think we've given it credit for these last couple of years. And sometimes you don't know what you got till you don't have it anymore. And with Ja being only available half the season or less these last couple of years, you kind of realize that we got to fill that void now. So off to the draft and free agency, I guess, to try and get another corner.
Yeah, Reef in the chat here, Jacob. Ja is great. Look at the numbers versus league number 1 wide receivers. I don't agree with that personally. 4 years ago, absolutely. But last 3 years, we watched him get his ass cooked by A.J. Brown week 1. Let's please not forget that.
Yeah.
Him and every other corner in the NFL, though. Let's just be real. Like, is there a corner that doesn't get roasted by A.J. Brown?
When you look at the statistics, this is the problem I have with this whole conversation. We're making it out like Jaire Alexander, when on the field, has been a top 3 corner in the league. Carrington Valentine had a better passer rating when targeted last year than Ja. Ja had a 77.6. Carrington Valentine, a 7th-round pick, at a 69. That's the issue I have with it. The whole Keyshawn Nixon thing, the yards per target as well. Jaire Alexander, 8.1 yards per target allowed.
Yeah. Do you think that there's maybe, I think a lot of people in the chat are blending in the questions of, was he good recently versus did we overpay, which has to go back to where he was. He's an up and coming corner at the time. I think arguably he was top 2, if not 3 cornerbacks, and it was kind of consensus at that time. Having that sort of respect and that sort of reputation in the league, like Tim said pretty clearly, I think that it's Monday morning quarterbacking, hindsight 2020. If you had to do it again, knowing what you know now, yeah, I think we overpaid. But at the time, I think that it was appropriate to offer him what the market was dictating. Now, that being said, I still think that there's a lot of comments in here where they're saying, had he not been hurt, I get that. Had, a lot of things happened, I might be an actor that lives on a yacht somewhere. But a lot of things just didn't happen that way. So I don't have the way. I think that I Respect Orange just hit it out of the park with this comment. He goes, I paid the right price for my Taco Bell until I paid the ultimate price a few hours later. That's kind of what I feel like.
That sums it up. No doubt. I don't know, man. When you look back on everything and you read everything that happened, just listed on paper, everything that happened over the last 3 years, you go, okay, availability, accountability. He's not been available. Is it his fault? Hey, look, he got hurt. Players get hurt. So I wash that off the side. Accountability. He was suspended by the team, right? And we tried to downplay that to a certain extent. Well, we don't know. We're hearing rumors. We're just hearing rumors. Then bang, the suspension hits. Okay, I guess it's true. And now it's obvious he's wanting to be traded. I don't know, man. And you come out week 1 and you got, okay. I guess why I'm frustrated is I heard for so damn long, can we just put Jaire on their number 1 wide receiver? Can we please do that? And then when you do it, it's not like he just shut guys down. We had the Justin Jefferson. That's the one everybody goes back to. Remember when he shut down Justin Jefferson? You guys remember that? How long ago was that? It was, 3 years ago? Sooner or later, we got to look up and go, damn, $25 million against the cap for a player who's been here less than 50% of the snaps and isn't shutting down number 1 wide receivers. That's the problem I have. And it ain't a problem with Ja. Like Tim said, A.J. Brown, Cook, and everybody across the league completely understand that, and it's a valid point. But that's why, to me, cornerback isn't that important. You can pay top shelf money for a cornerback like that and still get your ass cooked. And in the meantime, we're getting drilled in the trenches. That's the problem I have with it. That's why I think we overpay. It doesn't really have so much to do with Ja as a player as it does what are we structuring here to pay a corner that much money? We got so many holes across the team. So we'll see where he ends up. He may end up back in Green Bay. And if he does, I hope he's the best Ja he's ever been. I just know, much like Savage, much like Kenny Clark, I'm not gonna continue to go out on a limb and go, oh, this is the year he turns it around. I'm not gonna lie to myself anymore. I'm just not gonna freaking do it because it's been frustrating as hell. So, like Tim said, though, watch him go somewhere else. What'd you say, Tim? Watch him go somewhere else and what?
Oh, we already know it'll be Micah Hyde all over again.
Ball out.
He'll be an all-pro. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I just it kind of goes back to the whole question too. And people, I know fans don't like to hear this, and it's a sensitive subject, but when players leave, they talk about how they were treated, right? Every single time in Green Bay. That's been the conversation, is it not? Brett Favre talked about how he was disrespected way back in the day. Now, I disagree with that one. Aaron Rodgers has been a very big one. Clay Matthews with the tweet, damn, the body isn't even cold yet, when they gave his 52 away to Rashawn Gary, right? They
Jordy
always
Nelson.
move on. What's that?
Jordy Nelson, Greg
Right.
Jennings, a lot of guys. Aaron Jones.
Well,
And it's
Aaron kind of ran Greg Jennings out of town. Let's be real.
Well,
We all remember that one, right? The comment, hey, why don't you guys trade for him or whatever he said pregame, that year. It was,
Yeah.
I think Greg Jennings felt uncomfortable for a multitude of reasons. A couple of guys on that offensive side of the ball probably contributed.
It could be some of that too. Yeah, I could see that point. But yeah, I mean, like you were naming them off, Jacob. I mean, David Bakhtiari felt slighted too. Like he didn't. That whole interview at his locker, when he gave that interview at his locker, that was all about, hey, I want to tell the whole story because the whole story hasn't been out here. I've had 32 freaking surgeries on my knee, and it's kind of painted this picture like he may be ready this week. He may be ready this week. I'm waking up and my knee's the size of a basketball. Like he kind of put that in. I'm paraphrasing, but he put that in out there. It's just I'm just saying, how many times is it going to happen before we actually sit back and acknowledge it? Maybe there is a little truth to that. That's all. And we know Goody will move on 1 year before rather than 1 year too late, and that's why the Packers are always competing. But what is competing though? That's the big issue, right? We're talking about getting over the hump. You know what I mean? I don't know. Anyway, go ahead, Jake.
No, I just think the Packers are that if you compare them to like a corporation where I feel like on the front end of side when they're smiling for the cameras, it's a very lovable, respectable organization. So storied history, all this, but they're a business and they are a cutthroat business. And they, like you just said, they're going to let you go a year early than a year late. Most of these guys, and I think that a lot of the time these players come in and they're treated with such, I hate saying it, but like royalty from the fan base. It's a unique thing to play in Green Bay. The media used to be absolutely kissing our feet. The town still does kiss your feet. You can become a lifetime. You don't need to do anything else than have like maybe a couple good plays for the Green Bay Packers, let alone a great couple seasons, or you could even be a Hall of Famer, whatever the case is. You will never buy another drink. You'll never buy another meal. You'll never have to worry about nothing. You can do any type of commercial endorsement, travel on a sort of tour, whatever you want to do. So it must be tough for them to all of a sudden come and pull the rug out from you and say, hey, man, we're going to someone younger. We already made the decision. I'm sorry. Have a great rest of your career. It's got to be tough. It has to be. It's a business decision, though, and I bet you that those guys don't enjoy it, but they do it, and they've shown that they are not afraid to do it to anybody.
It would also probably explain why we see it so few and far between when we sign a veteran free agent.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same mentality, right?
Yeah. It's I don't know, man. I think it's a good case study, no doubt about it, and we'll see how it happens. Now, if let's say Ja is traded, he's no longer on the team. Who's the veteran? It's Kenny, right? And then other than Kenny, who's the other veteran that's been here the longest? Who comes to mind for you guys? There's
Elton.
I would say Big E or maybe LaShawn. I mean, yeah,
Sean or Elton.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Anything else on the Ja talk? Anything at all before we put a bow on it until he's actually traded or he actually shows up to off season or something? Then we'll talk about it again. Go, hey, Ja's in the building. So, anything else? That's home field. Rashawn Gary, right? He's one. Been around for a while. Probably comes to mind. So, all right, let's move it along. Now that we got that drama out of the way, let's go on to the rest of Twitter here. Let's talk a little draft. And Jacob, you said you got about 40 minutes. Is that right?
Yeah, whatever.
I'm gonna rattle through some of this stuff real quick. This was a interview. That's right. This was an interview that Greg Cosell did with Ross Tucker on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, and he was talking about quarterback, and specifically, I think he's talking about Shedeur Sanders. And one of the knocks that we had on Caleb Williams was like, yeah, okay, you can say his touchdown interception ratio is great, and that's very, very, very important. Arguably one of the most important statistics there is. But if you're dropping back and you're getting sacked for holding on the ball for more than 4 seconds, you're not doing your damn team any favors. You're killing drives yourself, right? Well, this is something that Greg Cosell talked about here with Shedeur Sanders. So here we go. This is Greg Cosell on the Ross Tucker Football Podcast, about a minute long. I've got it cranked. So, guys, turn up the volume. If it's hard to hear, I apologize. That's about all we can do.
One quarterback that's garnered a lot of conversation, obviously, is Shedeur Sanders. And just one thing to keep in mind, teams have done studies. I'm one person, so I can't do studies over 20, 25 years. It's very easy to say when you watch Shedeur Sanders, for instance, that his O-line was bad, and it was not good. We know that. But one thing that stands out and that holds true, Ross, for teams that have done these deep studies, is quarterbacks that get sacked a lot in college get sacked a lot in the NFL. And we're going to see what happens, for instance, with someone like Caleb Williams, who was sacked over 80 times in 2 years at USC. And therefore, and look how many times he was sacked in Chicago. And it's always easy to say that it's the offensive line, but that's just something to keep in mind. No knock on Sanders, no knock on Caleb Williams, but studies have been done that show that. So just these are things to keep in mind as you think about quarterbacks and the transition, because that's what we're ultimately talking about.
All right. So I thought that was a fascinating conversation there between Ross Tucker and Greg Cosell, and specifically mentioning how the sacks typically carry over from college. Another player, and I don't have the numbers to back it up. I could be completely off base, but just watching Kentucky play for so long, kind of felt like Will Levis, same issue. And then you get to Tennessee, and he's taking sacks. Now, talking to Titans fans when we were down there, I had a conversation with a couple of them when we were there for the game. They're like, man, they ain't giving this kid a chance. They're not putting a good offensive line around him. They traded away, we don't have any true weapons out here at wide receiver, blah, blah, blah. But I think there's something to what Greg Cosell is saying there. And, again, that's just kind of reading between the lines. I thought it was interesting that Caleb Williams got brought up because we've seen it on tape all year last year. And how many times would he do something like that or lay on the ground and be all dramatic getting up and people are going, man, this offensive line's bad. The offensive line may be bad, but if you're getting sacked at the 4.5 second mark, that's on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
So anything you guys want to add to that? I thought that was kind of an interesting comment there from Greg Cosell.
I thought that was one of the first things you kind of learn when you get drafted and you step into the NFL is that, that running around, prancing around with the football might have worked in college. But in the NFL, you gotta get rid of it or tuck it and run. You can't, extending the play is one thing, but getting happy feedback there is a whole different ballgame.
Mm-hmm. Jacob, anything?
No, I mean, Drew D had a great comment where he said, I love how well Ross Tucker plays the unknowledgeable person trying to set up the expert to give information. I feel like that's such a great way of being an interviewer should not be noticed. You know what I mean? It should be, he should be setting you up. He should be lobbing it. Like we talk about like a volleyball spike or something. And that interviewee should just have a really good intro. I mean, obviously if it's like a combative argument or some sort of interview there, then that's not the same dynamic, but I love listening to guys like Russ Tucker and guys that really know how to interview people and really get the most, not just for them, but out of their audience. I thought that was a good play. And just real quick, because I have nowhere else where I'm going to plug this in, but Jay made a comment about, I'm going to keep my comments about wanting to get Myles Garrett to myself. And Greg Rice says, are you talking about Myles Garrett?
I'm still trying to figure out how to spell the way Tim says Max Crosby.
Max Crosby.
Max Crosby. You have to look up the phonetic spelling of Max Crosby.
You got to put your tongue underneath your teeth and say it, Max Crosby.
Oh,
but Myles Garrett's not far behind. So
this one cracked me up just a second ago when he was talking about having a cornerback room that wasn't great. Smitty said, "Is he referring to the great Quentin Rollins?"
How dare you,
Quentin Rollins? Am I thinking right?
Yeah, and everybody at home's watching, and they're waiting for the Snoop Dogg drop, right?
Who has that been up there the whole time? You guys see what that is? Mandy trying to embarrass me.
What is that? Bought me a Quentin Rollins jersey?
She bought me a Green Bay Packers fanny pack for Christmas as a prank, and there it is. Hung it back here without me knowing. Appreciate that, baby.
Nice.
Put that on sometime. Put my smokes in that, Jacob. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, stash a daddy soda in there, maybe. There you go.
Let's move on to some draft talk real quick. So this was cool. Grinding the Mocks, one of the best Twitter follows, I'm telling you right now, in terms of the draft information. Said since our last update 2 weeks ago, the biggest risers in the Grinding the Mocks top 50 are Jaire Alexander, defensive tackle out of Toledo. This is post-Senior Bowl. Jackson Dart, quarterback out of Ole Miss. He said quarterback hop train, ? Elijah Arroyo, tight end out of Miami, post-Senior Bowl. And Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama, top interior offensive lineman and a beast. So just wanted to hit on some of these because this is one of the reasons why I like to get the information in early. And I like to give bonuses for Senior Bowl activity, but I don't want to get too crazy. Look at the chart here as it shows where he was kind of rated, right? And it's talking about his draft stock. Jaire Alexander, guys, back in June of this year, he was, in between a 6th and a 7th round pick, right? By August, he's under a 7th round pick. October, he's damn near undrafted. By December 24, he's considered undrafted. That's what he was considered in mock drafts. And then all of a sudden, in less than a month, he is now considered he's peaked at the 45 spot now. That is just wild. And that makes me a little nervous. Now, In the past, there have been players that have played great at the Senior Bowl and it transferred over, obviously, to the NFL level. But does this worry you guys, or do you put more stock in like, hey, no, he went out there and performed? I would look at this as this is closer to his true value as opposed to stepping back and going, hold up a minute. After the college football season, nobody even seen him as draftable, and now all of a sudden he might be creeping in the first round. You understand what I'm saying? How do you guys feel about that?
I feel like we should go on to the next player because I was really holding out hope that we would draft him. And the higher up he goes, the less likely that is to happen. So yeah, he's a terrible football player. This is all hype. Don't believe any of this. Well, hopefully he's on the board when we're picking. But in all seriousness, though, I hear your point, Clayton. It's like what changed in the last couple of weeks. It's crazy.
I think honestly, if you read this graph the way I'm reading it, is that it shows how much the quote unquote experts or media or the fandom can kind of, because look at you see the way it started in June of 24 and he slopes down. That's basically all fan quote unquote interaction with a little bit of media. Very rare you see any blue quote unquote experts. Again, I hate qualifying what does an expert mean. We could have an argument about that, but all of a sudden in between December and then that Feb 25th area or Feb 25, you see a big chunk of that blue quote unquote experts, and then all of a sudden you see the fan base all, but this guy is good, and all of a sudden there's another chunk of blue up there that's where he's now projecting. Where is he rated? Yeah, right around mid-second. That's where I've seen him, definitely in the PFF mocks and other mocks like that. So it's just, I think it's an interesting dynamic that nobody really gave him credit until a certain group of quote unquote experts said, hey, might want to take a look at this guy. And all of a sudden he maybe jumps a few rounds higher than he should just because of all that sort of hype. But I don't know. I'd probably, Tim, where were you hoping that you would draft this guy? Where do you think that, or where were you hoping he would fall?
Like third,
okay.
Third round. But now it's looking more like, late second first, or possibly, early, even late first or something. But, I don't know. Goody's probably going to trade out of the first round anyway, right? So, let's go.
They're going to riot. If we're at the house doing the live draft party when that happens, I'm going to hate myself forever because I want to see the crowd reaction when it says the Packers. There's been a trade and the Packers trade out of the first round after everybody stood around all night. I'm just saying. I think the pitchforks are going to be out in full force.
I was going to say,
but the thing though.
All will be forgiven when he drafts Jaden Higgins. We'll be all good.
Exactly.
I just
go ahead, Jake.
No, I just could picture like the whole. We're at Titletown. They make somebody walks out and says the Packers have traded out, and you just see Rob Schneider from the Waterboro. Oh no, we suck again, or something way more inappropriate, and the whole crowd. I mean, that would make for a very interesting. It's Thursday night. Is round one, right? People are just.
Yep.
I know a lot of people that are going just for the first round, so that would be
And we're kind of taking the opposite approach. We're going to hang out at the draft all day long, and about 2 hours before the draft starts, first round, we're going to head back. I know I am. Everybody's free to do what they want to do, but I'll probably head back to the house and do the live draft, our live draft show, and then same thing, second round and third round, and I'm thinking the final day, maybe not even do a live draft party. And go over and just take it all in before everything wraps up, because that's, to me, how many times have we sit here rounds 4 through 7 and we were
dude, day 3 is when Goody cooks the best, man. Come on now.
When's
that's
the next
one worth seeing? So,
I like what Drew D said here. I think Jaire Alexander might drop until the third after the combine. I don't expect him to test well. And that's another argument too, right? Drew is like, what do you put more stock in? How they test or the tape? In this case, and I could be completely off base, when I look at Jaire Alexander and where people seen him, and like Jacob's pointing out on this chart, you got the experts, the fans, and the media, right? I don't even see the media. Maybe my screen's off. Do you guys see any of the media dots that are there at the very top, right?
Very top. It's few and far between.
The thing that I put the most stock in are the experts. And Jacob, I know you said what constitutes an expert. I think of people like Daniel Jeremiah and Bucky Brooks, former NFL scouts. Yep. And maybe there's other experts bundled into that expert group that I probably wouldn't feel as highly on,
Who in the hell is Mel Kiper in a way?
Thank you, Tim. Perfect.
Exactly. So when you get that pocket of blue down there from the experts, literally less than a month ago, they had him almost a 7th round pick. And now all of a sudden, bang, everybody's on board with him being a Some of them a first-round pick, right? First to second is what you're seeing there with the media. The media is where I get really kind of whoa, because the media is going to put out what they hear, right? Just like the whole Jaire thing with Ian Rappaport, that came from his camp. Well, what if it's Jaire Alexander's camp that's pumping that out to the media, going, hey, yeah, we got teams telling us they're going to take us in the first round. Now the media can't release that source, but they're sharing where they think he's going to be drafted. I think you get a lot of those smoke screens, if that makes sense. Let's move on to the next player here, though. We got 4 that we're going to hit on. But I don't know what YouTube just switched to, but this dude is scary as hell. He looks like he's 112 years old on my TV over here. And I'm telling you, they could not put the camera any closer to him. Lord have mercy. Jackson Dart. This is an interesting one. So in June, and we're just going to look at the dark blue line here, okay? And in June, 3rd round pick, right? August, little less than a 3rd round pick. October, he starts to drop. Obviously, I guess they've seen him as having a down year. But Tim, didn't Jackson Dart have a pretty good PFF year? Am I thinking right, man, or did I completely whiff on that?
No, he did, and he had a pretty good Senior Bowl too, as well.
So he was third, the 3rd highest quarterback in all of college football this season. In October, he starts to sink. December, he bottoms out in between, pretty much right after December, right? And then in February, here he goes cooking back up the boards. So I really don't understand what was going on there in October through December to make him drop so far if his PFF grades were so high. Now, we know PFF isn't everything, but I know there's been a lot of mock drafts from the fans. Look at all those orange dots. Holy cow, man, that's wild. So how do you guys feel about Jackson Dart here? Do you think he is QB3 in this draft? Maybe?
I just pulled him up on PFF, 92.5.
Yeah, and he had multiple back-to-back years of 90s. He had back-to-back years of elite at an Ole Miss school that plays definite competition. And even Tim, I believe his year 3 or his first year, he was like a 79 or something, wasn't he? He was ranked 80th or something.
Worth noting, he hasn't missed a ball game in 3 years either.
Let's go.
Passer rating 94.1 in 2022, 110.2 in 2023, and 122.3 last year in 2024. 29 tutters, 6 picks, 4,200 yards. So, I think he's legit. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Clay? I mean, if you're just looking at the numbers, seems legit that he's rising.
I remember preseason us doing the college football podcast, and it's like, yeah, this dude might be the top quarterback taken in the draft. Yep. He plays in a tough conference. I know Big Ten guys are going, it's not that tough now, is it, Clay? No, hey, mad respect, right? But you play in a tough conference. You go out, you grade really, really high. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it, Tim. But there's been more and more rumblings that he is going to be QB3 in this draft. And again, where we've got him at, if I can find him here again, Jackson Dart, we've got him at 71. Okay, so we're lower on him than most. Daniel Jeremiah has him at 41, and right here on this graphic, they're showing him currently at 37. Right, Kyle Krabs had him in 90 spot. Dane Brugler had him at 57. So again, he falls into the 71 spot for us. Actually behind Jalen Milroe. We've got the 53 spot, which if we got time, we'll talk about him. For sure. So
more of the same from PFF with him too. They got him ranked 3rd out of 306 quarterbacks, but he's 126 on their board.
That's
overall.
wild.
It's like the math ain't mathing.
Yeah. Right. And again, Tim, did they misuse him down there at Ole Miss? Is that why they think he, or maybe they
had him running the wishbone down there too much,
Maybe in that case where he's so low on their board but so high with the grades, maybe they felt like they used him too well.
Yeah.
It's crazy conversation. Go ahead, Jake. What were you going to say? Buddy?
Nothing. I was just going to say Chris N makes an interesting scenario. Would you see any team that maybe goes, hey, you know what? We've got him as our 3rd or 2nd best quarterback, whatever it is in this draft, maybe sneak into the very end of that 1st round to get that 5th-year option?
Yeah, that's a real thing. There's no doubt about it. Because if you hit on that QB, that 5th-year option at the quarterback position can really keep you out of a bad spot. What do you think, Tim?
No, I agree. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if the Packers are the ones who trade the pick too to get them up there.
Dude, look what Deadfish just said. Giants are going to trade up to 23 and take Jackson Dart. We'll get a 2nd and a 3rd.
Let's go. Great minds think alike.
There you go, man.
Boy.
Hey,
you see that, Goody? I know Goody's watching. He gets all his information from us.
There you go. Jake Shavink said the Rams get pick 34 if they trade Stafford to the New York Giants. Then they could move up for that 5th year. Jake, did you hear too? And I ask you guys this as well. I was going to have it as a topic, but I think people are so tired of talking about Aaron Rodgers. It sounded like Aaron Rodgers showed interest in playing for the Giants as well. And here's the latest that I'm hearing about the Rams Stafford thing is they wanted him to go out and get his best offers if a trade partner was to trade for him. All right, what would the contract look like to come back? And it sounds like the Rams are going to want to try to match that. So they're trying to, rather than just cut bait with him, the vibe I'm getting is go find out your true value, your true worth here, and then we'll adjust the contract to that. Kind of a fair way to keep him around. So I don't know what's going to happen there, to be honest with you. I really don't. But Jackson Dart is a fascinating conversation, though. Next one, Elijah Arroyo. We won't spend a whole lot of time here, but again, June 24, he was undrafted. August 24, he starts to rise a little bit. He cracks into the 7th round status in December of 2024. And then I guess right around the January mark and through February, he skyrockets now to 47. That was an interesting one there for me. What do you have on Arroyo there, Tim? Anything you want to add in terms of PFF grade or what have you? I'm going to see if I can pull him up here as well.
Good old Elijah Aurora, 71.7 last year was his grade in 2024. Didn't play a lot of football in 22 and 23. So really we have to look at, strictly last year for him. So the tail of the tape is 6'4", 245. He's a big boy, decent size. He qualifies, the size factor, NFL tight end kind of body. I just don't know, other than going back based off of last season's numbers. There's not a big sample size. For him.
Tim, am I crazy? Or I remember seeing that in his first 2 years, he had like a combination of maybe 200 snaps, and he graded like 40s and 50s, and even his best year was like low 70 production. So I'm just
he played 4 games in 2022, played 5 games in 23. That's it.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, and now here's the big thing, though, the big talking point, the Senior Bowl. They said he really flashed. Daniel Jeremiah said he dominated the Senior Bowl practice.
So that may be a guy that's getting a lot of that bump then from the Senior Bowl. He needs all the help he can get. I mean, it's Combine week. Is he working out? Is he going to be at the Combine?
It's a great question. We've covered so much information. I'm not sure. Yeah. We need to come up with some kind of notes there for that specific topic. But
he looks like a guy that would be doing it, right? He ain't going to pass up on the Combine, I don't think. I think he needs everything he can to get his stock up. Yeah,
unless he's one of those guys that had an injury he was dealing with. I don't think he was. I know there was a tight end or two that was on that list, but Anyway, so Daniel Jeremiah had him at 49. Dane Brugler had him at 39. So that's one of the reasons why he finished so high on our board, where we've got him in the 62 spot currently. Next guy, Tyler Booker, interior offensive lineman from Bama. June 24, he was considered a 2nd-round pick. By October, he's creeping up, a little bit. I guess it goes. Where does that go to? There it goes. That goes to overall picks. There, doesn't it? So he went from 2nd-round pick to probably around the 30 pick, something like that, and then kind of stabilized a little bit through December, and then of course here in the offseason in February, skyrocketed up, and now people are considering him what seems to be, I don't know, close to like what would be like an 18th overall pick, something like that. So Tyler Booker getting some big notoriety there. When we find him on our board, I think we've got him officially listed as an interior offensive line. We've got him in the 31 spot currently. So this graph showing him a little higher than where we've got him on our board. The main thing that helped him, though, Daniel Jeremiah has him in the 14 spot on his big board. So Dane Brugler has him at 18 as well. Tim, he's a big old boy, right? I don't know if you got his information pulled up or not.
6'5", 325 out of Bama.
That's
barely 21 years old. So the Goody DiCaprio factor is noticed.
Yes, it is on the radar. All right. Let's see here. Here's that ain't it. Go back. Trying to think. Risers and fallers. Here's another one. Oh, Charles Grant is interesting because some people are saying, hey, if we do go offensive line, where would Charles Grant end up falling? He's a smaller school, but from William and Mary, he played really well, if I remember correctly. Grinding. Go ahead, Jacob.
No, he graded phenomenally, which
91.
Obviously, they talk about it's a small school, but then they want him to do that. He was great.
Yeah. So in August, he was, right around the undrafted mark. By October, he's up to the 6th round mark. By December, he's up over the 5th round mark. And here in February now, it looks like he's officially cracking inside the top 3 rounds. So it could be a potential round 3 pick here if he – and he may continue to rise here. He's someone who's probably going to need to test well at the combine. And if he does, he may propel himself right into the second round. Who knows, maybe on the backside of the 1st round. What's his size like, Tim? You got him pulled up there?
Grant, yeah. 6'4", 300 is what he's
Pretty
listed
solid.
at. Yep.
Pretty solid. I'm sure he's got decent reach there. So,
yep.
All right, cool.
Strictly a left tackle, though.
Yeah.
Now, here's the one I really wanted to talk about, and I want to run something by you guys. First of all, I want Malik Willis on this team. You know how I feel. If it's anything less than a 2nd round pick, I don't even want to hear it. I'm telling you, man, that video recirculated again, Jacob, of him at the combine where he's giving clothes to that homeless dude. And he didn't know anybody was watching. This is somebody filming it from a shop, right? They're like, ooh, what's this dude doing? Yeah. Giving his clothes right out of his suitcase. Keep in mind, that's a kid coming out of college, going to try to compete at the combine, probably nervous as all get out, sees a homeless dude on the side of the street, stops, opens up his bag, and literally hands him clothes out of his own. That's just wild to me, man. So I want him here, but Jalen Milroe puts off kind of that same vibe as well. I want you to look at what happened to him in his draft stock here. It says the past month has not been kind to Jalen Milroe's draft stock. Grinding the mocks now projects him as a round 3 pick with the potential to fall further. Similar state to Quinn Ewers, overtaken by Jackson Dart as QB3. You can see here he may fall as far to 75 in the draft. Would you guys be okay with a Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round, or do you think the Packer fans would burn the place to the ground here?
Oh, I'd hand him a match.
You would not. So you would not like it, right, Tim?
Yeah, no, not in the 3rd. No, God, no.
Okay.
Yeah, if he fell to he'd have to fall to the 5th for me to really be on board.
Okay.
I feel that way about any quarterback, though, to be honest.
Yeah, and plus it's because, I do love Malik Willis. I really do. And I think that he showed that he can be a plug-and-play starter that can win us games, clearly. And obviously, I know the way that this is structured, though. We just talked about it early in this episode, how the Packers are a business-first organization, and they are going to do what's right for the team long haul. I wouldn't I wouldn't give away matches or nothing, but I would definitely be pouty. I'd be pouty as all heck, tell you what, for about a day, and then I'd buy a jersey and say that I was always one of his fans. So, typical Packers.
His whole, if anybody has followed along with him in his career, dude, I love that dude's energy. He's got a ton of talent. He's got a boatload of talent. Now, last year, obviously, Bama did not do quite as good as anyone would think, right? But I don't know, man. With Jalen Milroe, if he's there in the 3rd round, I've got him in the 53 spot. So we got a 54 point. Actually, let's see, what is that? A 54.4 grade, which would justify him the way quarterbacks are drafted, going as high as, and this is just according to our board, I would be okay with him going in the 41 spot. That's how I would get him on the board. If he drops into what's our 3rd round pick again? I'm trying to remember here. 3rd round, 87. If he's sitting there at pick 87 somehow, some way, and Goody's board is lined up to have him where we've got him, and then, of course, you climb up that whole an extra tier with him being a quarterback, say, as a top 40 prospect, I don't think Goody's going to pass up on somebody like that. Now, it might not be Jalen Milroe. It might be Tyler Shue, however you say his name. It might be one of those type of guys. I'm just saying, prepare yourself, because Malik Willis, 1 year left on the deal. You traded a 7th round pick for him. You're not going to extend Malik Willis. Malik Willis is going to get a chance to go to free agency and potentially get a bigger contract, right? What if that is Goody's plan, is to potentially draft a quarterback this year and kind of move forward like that? Just something in the back of my mind. I'm not saying I would want it to happen either, Tim. I'm just going, I don't know, man. I wouldn't be surprised if this happened.
Oh no, I wouldn't be surprised either. I don't want it to happen.
I don't want it.
I'd like another year with Malik, even though we know it's going to be short lived. But I think it's like what Coach Len is saying here. We could easily get picks for Willis and Ja if we want them. Goody could have 10 picks in this draft, no problem. I totally agree. And I wouldn't be surprised if, like you just mentioned, that Malik Willis is that bargaining chip that Goody needs to move, up or down quite frankly, in the draft.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So there you go. There's Jalen Milroe talking. No, you didn't have that on the schedule here. I'm trying to think. There was something else I wanted to hit on real quick, but we might move on to your mock drafts if you've got time. Jacob, do you have time for us to hit those?
Yeah, let's do it. We can get that knocked out here.
All right, cool. Let me get back to where I was. We had some prospects visit the Packers as well that we need to hit on eventually, but right now let's go ahead and move into. Jacob did a couple mocks last night and he sent them over to us. What I'm going to do, Jacob, I want you to kind of explain these picks, and I'll tell you where we've got them on our board. And Tim, if you want to be prepared to kind of pull up measurements if we need them or what have you, just be ready to fire that name in. Go ahead, Jacob. You have the floor, man. Let's hear about this mock.
So I couldn't sleep this morning. I woke up at like 4:30, and I just thought, all right, I started seeing some of the Jaw talks. So I just decided I was going to trade Jaw in both of these drafts and then try to take guys we haven't really talked about unless they were so glaring I had to take them. So vis-a-vis, we started off with round 1, 23. We did not trade. We got Walter Nolan with that pick. I just could not pick Walter Nolan. I ended up giving a trade proposal to Kansas City, which I know sounds a little outlandish. They were, according to PFF, give us a second and a third. I know that's not realistic, but I just wanted to get some more picks so I could have an idea. And again, I'm trying to pick guys that are generally guys that I haven't necessarily dove into. I'm sure you probably have when I wasn't here, that sort of stuff. So starts with round 1 with 23, pick 23 with Walter Nolan. And then round 2, pick 55, an edge called Josiah Stewart, who I have not personally looked at a lot whatsoever. And I'm wondering where we have him graded, because when I pulled up his PFF grades, I was like, wow, okay, this dude has graded out extremely well. And I just haven't gotten
We have Walter Nolan in the 23 spot. Love the pick. Be totally cool with that. The thing about Josiah Stewart, we talked about him last night, didn't we, Tim, that he's undersized. Is he 6'1", am I thinking right?
Let's see.
Josiah
6'1", 245, yeah.
Yeah. And Jacob, if you remove the size and everything, we had him sitting in the 62 spot on our board. So that's not like a crazy reach there. So that I could – if it wasn't for the measurables there, and we know how good he loves those measurables, I would say, hey, man, sign me up. Not a problem with it at all. Didn't mean to cut you off, but just wanted to hit. We'll do them 2 at a time, and I'll tell you where we got them if that's cool with you. So
that's perfect. So then obviously we got a pick from KC. I wanted to go cornerback right away and get – it's just, to me, you got to either go early or be willing to take one of those kind of diamonds in the rough late. Benjamin Morrison from Notre Dame. PFF liked it. Clay, I know you like him maybe because he's just a Notre Dame guy. And then I followed that up with the first pick of the round 3 for us, which is pick 87. I could not pick Trey Harris.
You know, Trey Harris is an interesting one. We had a graphic. Actually, I think I got it here, boys. Look how professional we are. Where's it at? Boom. This is a pretty cool graphic. So these are all the rookie wide receivers coming in to the combine, to the draft. I want you to notice Trey Harris. Look at the yards per route ran. He leads all of these receivers at 3 flat, 3 yards per route ran. That's pretty wild. Like, and look, there's not any glaring, need to his game here. Everything's in the green across the board. The yards per game, the yards per. I'm trying to remember what did we come up with the YPTPA, yards per pass attempt, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have the passer rating when targeted 124.9. It's in a little bit kind of the mid green, if you will. Now the majority of his snaps were out wide at 88%. Shout out to @football_insights for this graphic, by the way. They do phenomenal work over there. Go give them a follow on X. So
and
Trey Harris, I'd have no problem with.
Yeah, sorry to cut you. Trey Harris and the guy that I ended up going with next, Jalen Rowles, are both one of the highest, if not the highest, in the top, 20 players there that actually played more snaps out wide, which in my brain is clearly what I thought we needed. But, So spoiler alert, the next guy I picked was Utah State's Jalen Royals. Not quite the size and speed guy that, maybe we were looking for, but I just thought back-to-back wide receivers, take a shot at it. I really do think that they want to revamp that wide receiver room and give us more options than we have right now, especially with guys that are going into final years of their deal, guys that maybe haven't shown up, guys that have regressed. And then I went and picked a tackle that I honestly have not looked at whatsoever until that draft, Brandon Crenshaw Dixon out of Florida.
Interesting. So Benjamin Morrison, to back up here, we have him in the 68 spot, so that's right there in the ballpark of 63. Trey Harris, you got at 87. Jacob, we've got him at 49. Like, that would be over the moon.
He was the best guy around.
Jalen Royals, we have in the 74 spot. You got him at 95. Sign me up, man. Great pick there.
Here's the guy.
Crenshaw Dixon is probably the one that might take a minute. Now, here we go. 130 is where we got him. You got him at 123. That's right there in the ballpark. I think you were using that draft board, Jacob. You can come clean here, man.
Another beast, man. Crenshaw Dickinson, 6'7", 322. However, he's a little old for Goody's liking.
He's
That's
24, I believe.
He's 24. Yeah. But graded out as 80.3 last year, 32 out of 600 plus tackles according to PFF. So,
got it.
I think that's a decent pick.
And then next you have what is it? Go ahead, Jacob. You got a center here, so you're trying to plug and play a center. Looks like out of USC.
Yep. So you guys know I'm a big fan of Jonah Moynihan. Got him at pick 159 in round 5. He is a center, but he has played a lot of different positions on the offensive line, and I just think he's been. I believe he's another guy that's 6'5", heavier weight, kind of taking over from Josh Myers, still having that increased or larger guy on that offensive line leading it, and I don't know why. He's always been a draft crush of mine since I kind of looked into the stats. Just felt like a perfect pick in round 5 there. And then to go to round 6, 198, a lot of people were giving me crap that I got another wide receiver, but it's happened to Goody multiple times where he took 2 or 3. Deontay Thornton Jr., another guy I believe is 6'5", good stride, wide player, plays outside wide. I thought if you can just stack that depth chart and even have some guys that are on the practice squad or that are, maybe plug and play guys throughout the year. We have been bit by the injury bug, as you know. There he is down there, Deontay Thornton. Definitely got some stuff to work on there, but has some promising ones as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, Timmy, passer rating when targeted 129.5 for Dante Thornton, but obviously in the red there, yards per game only 33.9. Now, maybe to me that would suggest he lacked targets,
Yeah.
I mean, when you've got that high of a passer rating when targeted,
Yeah. 34 targets last year. I'm looking at his PFF now.
There you go.
He definitely fits the mold, though. 6'5", 214. That's what we're looking for.
Any injury, I wonder, do you think that played a role? It seemed like we read
It looks like in 23 he might have been injured. He only played 9 games in 2023.
Gotcha. And as far as Jonah Monheim, there you got in the 5th round, Jacob. You got him at pick 159. We've got him at 126. So that would be that's almost a full round. You know what I mean? Later than we would have been okay with you taking him then.
Yeah,
All right, move on to the 7th
Monheim
round.
is interesting too because he played a lot of center last year. Obviously, he's going into the draft as a center, but he's got experience at left tackle, right guard, and right tackle. If you go back a couple years, so there's a versatility factor with him, which of course we know we like that on the O line. So worth noting.
And then just one that I can't. These last 2 players is kind of how I've been rounding out a lot of my drafts, just because they're too good for me to pass up. Guard, interior offensive lineman Marcus Weir out of Montana State, smaller school, but if you look at his numbers, I think he's graded almost elite every single thing he's done. I think he's got decent size at like 6'3" or something. Just to me, it seems like he's one of those. Even though he's a small school player, he's completely excelled at what they've asked him to do.
6'4", 300 pounds, Montana State Bobcats. Marcus Ware. I think that's a great pick in the 7th round.
Aren't his grades like 90s too the last couple of years?
89.2 last year.
And the year before, tell me the year before, Tim.
What was the grade? I don't have it up here.
Okay. I don't know what the grade is, but he was the first at his position. And we have him listed as with a V next to his name as a versatile offensive line. So,
we got him in
the 197 spot, Jacob. So that's a great value there too.
Yeah, he hasn't given up a sack in the last 3 years, so that's worth noting as well.
Yeah, he's played right guard last year. He's played right tackle the 2 years prior, and he has a grade of 89.2 in 2024, 93.2 in 2023. He was the number 1 ranked. And then even in 2022, he only played 5 games, but he had an 81 overall grade. I mean, he has not given up a sack, like Tim said, in 3 years. Even more impressive, he's only given up 2 hits in that time, and he's only given up 7 hurries in the 3 years he played at college.
I think you're right, Jacob. I think the smaller school thing is probably why people are sleeping on him a little bit. Yeah. I thought he could go as high as 5th round. So I think getting him in the 7th is awesome.
Yeah, with a name like Thor Griffith here, defensive lineman, man, how can you be against that? So we've got Thor Griffith, your final pick here, Jacob. You took him at 250. We've got him at 139. Like, that is insane, dude. Like, you got him 100 plus picks later than where we would be okay with them taking him at. And Tim, didn't we hit a graphic or something on defensive line, and Thor Griffith was one that just like popped off the chart?
Yep,
We
definitely.
have it. I don't know if we still do or not, but we had one. Now I think we've gotten rid of it. We had some kind of graph, Jacob, where I remember it was like, I think it was run defense grade plus pass rush win rate or something, and he was in the upper right quadrant, like toward the top. It was wild. So, and listen, Louisville, they're not. It's not like they're playing the absolute toughest, competition in college football, but they're a big school. Like, they're playing big name programs,
Well, I mean, look at his consistency in 2024, playing 331 snaps, 84.3. That's 18th out of almost 900. 2023 had an 89.2. That's 9th out of almost 900. 2022, 90.5, 9th out of almost 900 players. It's just steady Eddie.
And he might be a 3-tech, right? I mean, most of his snaps are B-gap.
Yep.
So that's something we're looking for sure.
Yeah, I think you absolutely crushed this draft. And one thing I got to push back on, though, is obviously the trade. I don't see it. I don't think there's a snowball chance in hell we get that much. Now, you're not going to decline that in the mock draft. You're going to take what they give you. Yeah. And what we're referring to is obviously trading Jaire Alexander to the Chiefs and getting the 63rd pick and the 95th pick. If that was the type of draft capital you could get for Jaire Alexander in a trade, shoo-wee, boy. Yeah, run over there and make that deal, especially if he truly wants out. And Tim, he would go to Kansas City. He would ball out and probably get a damn ring, to be honest with you. And
things could be a lot worse. I could be a Bears fan.
All right, Jacob, I think that was an awesome mock, dude. I think that was great. That was a lot of fun. I appreciate you sharing it. Let's hop back over to social media. If you need to run, you do your thing, Jacob. If you want to hang out, man. Either way.
Yeah, I got to run. We could do that other one another day because I like some of those guys. One specifically. Can I just check one guy while we're here? The Rutgers tackle. I can't see it. Holland Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about an absolute. I don't know if you can just bring him up real quick, but I believe he's 6'8", like 300 some odd pounds. Played obviously for Rutgers.
44. Woo.
But if you look at his grades, he's actually graded pretty well, and he does certain stuff for a guy that huge. I mean, we had 2 or 3 massive players on the offensive line that never really came to fruition. But man, Holland Pierce, and he went against some good competition in the Big Ten. He jumped off the page with me in round 7, 238. I thought, okay, cool. If I can get him that late, that'd be amazing.
Be some good depth behind Sheed Walker. I mean, he's a pure tackle. Looking at the numbers here,
got better every year too.
Yeah, what a monster!
261, then jumped to 90, then jumped to 14th at his position. We've got him in the 173 spot. So that's solid there.
Well, I'll swap you guys out for a better looking younger man than I am.
I appreciate that, Jacob. Lesser quality.
Oh yeah.
I disagree with everything y'all just said, to be honest. Have a good night, buddy. Appreciate you.
See you guys.
Oh, and then Emilio is what happened? Have fun at the office, Jacob.
Yeah.
I still knees down, Jacob.
My knee.
We got Emilio joining us now. Emilio, we got you a couple sound drops in there, man, just so you know we updated the system here. All right. Let me hit you with a couple of these real quick. All right. We got the
Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
That is absolutely perfect.
And then, of course, the
could be a crackhead that got hold to the wrong stuff.
That's what we're going to say. Every time someone has a bad take this year, we're just going to hit the crackhead one. So,
yeah.
Anyway, have you listened to anything we said, or did you just literally run in the house, throw the bag down, and jump?
No, I was listening. I had to shower and stuff. I was looking rough. But yeah, no, I'm just I don't know. I'm kind of excited. Going back to the jaw thing, I think it's a little tough, but whatever. Get your number and we can go from there. And yeah, Malik's a dog.
I think there's a chance too with the jaw thing that he goes out there and let's say the best offer he could get is someone said, yeah, we'd like you, but for $10 million per. And then he goes back to Goody like, all right, I got this team that's interested for $10 million per. And Goody's like, well, hell, we'll give you $15 million this year. Like work something out like that. I think it's kind of like the Matt Stafford thing too.
Exactly.
One thing I will say, it hasn't gotten ugly in the media. The ugliest it's gotten is Ian Rappaport sharing information, which tells you the agency didn't just come out and say it, right? His agent could have come out and said, hey, we want out, blah, 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 blah. But the way they approach it's almost like, let's kind of put a filler out there and see what we got in terms of the market. So,
yeah. And I think that, I mean, it when you do something like that, if he goes out there, only can get 10, and I mean, you're greasing him a little bit, but hey, we'll give you 12, we'll give you 13, 15. And it's like, all right, they do care about me. I'm not, just going to be some scrub or something like that. I think that would definitely bode well. I think that would help Ja in this situation and then help the team. And to that Milroe question, I don't know if I would mind that 3rd round pick on him. You think about it, because then you say you pick Milroe, right? What happens if somebody gets hurt week 2 and they want to trade Malik for a 3rd round pick, 2nd round pick?
Now, the problem with that scenario is you'd have to carry 3, right? And when was the last time the Packers carried 3?
Right. We tried it last year. Tried it last year, didn't work.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So,
have to convert one to wide receiver again just to stash him.
Hey, Mr. Magoo. Hey, which, by the way, I think Mr. Magoo is going to be in the UFL, right?
Yeah, he's playing this spring, right?
Go get you another MVP, big dog.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's like being the smartest guy in Harlan County, Kentucky. You know what I mean? Good, winning the MVP down there at the UFL. It's not a major feat, but hey, you are the best at what you do. So here's that video. I'm not going to play the video because we might get hit with some kind of copyright. I don't know who owns the actual rights to it. Sleeper NFL tweeted it out. Just go give it a follow. Go give it a retweet at Sleeper NFL. You'll see it. It's toward the top. It's gotten a bunch of run here on my Twitter page, just sharing it. But Malik Willis giving his clothes to the homeless dude. Man, I love that guy. Absolutely love that guy.
It's my quarterback, man. It's my quarterback.
That's it. Let's go rapid fire here real quick. Adam Schefter just putting out the information, kind of grouping everything together, getting organized. Players who have been granted permission to seek a trade this offseason include, and this is before the Ja information, obviously, linebacker Harold Landry, defensive tackle Jonathan Allen, wide receiver Cooper Kupp, wide receiver Deebo Samuel. I know that, GM for San Francisco, I'm forgetting the name.
Lynch.
Great safety.
John Lynch.
Said today that they're going to grant him that right to go get a trade, go find the best trade, and we'll trade you to wherever they decide, type thing. So it sounds like they're on the same page with that. Debo's going somewhere. I hope it's not Green Bay. Now, if you're bringing in Debo for a 6th round pick and a restructured contract, hell yeah, sign me up. But that's not going to happen. He's going to want to get paid and continue to get paid and all that. So I'm just not there with him. Cooper Kupp, we've talked about that. We won't rehash it. I just want to kind of hit some of these headlines here in terms of players that are going around. Is there anybody there that you guys go, ooh, I'd like to have?
No, I kind of look at this list and I'm like, nah, meh, hell no. It's kind of my reaction to in that order. I'm with you, Clay. I don't think they're going to bring Debo into Green Bay at all. And Cooper Kupp, obviously super talented dude, kind of coming off a banged up year last year, not really 100%. I don't know how well he fits into what we're trying to do here. And then we talked about Landry and Allen last night, I believe. I don't think that they're super high on our list either.
Yeah, and I think that it's kind of, I wouldn't say a problem, but maybe just like a little knock. I mean, everyone is looking, all of them are looking for a trade for a reason. It might be a different reason, it might be something else, but they're all, able to look for a trade for a certain reason. And I think that it might be something you just kind of want to stay away from if you can get it done in free agency.
Yeah, makes sense. All right, let's move it along here. We'll go rapid fire. The Packers did meet with some players. Emilio, do you have the spreadsheet up by chance?
Always.
Oh, man, let's go. Add the cheese.
You may have already did it, but how cool is this? We were talking about this, Tim. Was it last night that we were talking about Jahad Campbell?
Jahad Campbell, yeah.
We were like, I remember specifically saying, listen, if he falls the right spot, I'd be okay with taking him in the 2nd round. If Goody's got a high enough, let's say Goody's got the same grade on him that he had on Edger and Cooper. Why not? Right. Yeah. And then you have kind of a 3-way battle there between Jahad Campbell, Quay Walker, and Tyron Hopper for that 2nd linebacker spot in the nickel or the nickel 4-2-5 defense. And then, of course, whoever comes in 2nd place for that number 2 linebacker in our nickel defense will be your 3rd linebacker in the 4-3.
Makes you feel better about, Zay McDuffie and Wilson being gone, you bring a guy like Campbell in, like you said, and that's kind of the competition we have, you know.
We get too old for this. This is a great point. He said a linebacker named Campbell in Green Bay is like a corner name. Spot on. So again, for those on the pod, Easton Butler tweeted out the Packers met with Alabama linebacker Jaire Campbell at the NFL Combine. So do you have the cheese emoji updated there, Bill?
Updated.
Cheese curds make my stomach hurt all the time, but I do eat them though.
Me too, man. Culver's got some fire ones, but Campbell here. You know what I was thinking? He's what? We have him 31. PFF, where they have him 38. Consensus had him 32. He's just going to be our first round pick, right? Let's reach about 10 spots and pull him at 23. I could completely see that happening. I could absolutely see that happening.
That would feel just like the Quay Walker pick, would it not?
Yeah, exactly. Yep. Sitting in the mid 30s ish, and it's like, no, we're going to get our guy.
All off season, all we heard were the draft experts go, the Packers would never take a linebacker in the first round, and then they ran Quay Walker up, and we're going, who? What? So yeah, we got Jaire Campbell at the 30 spot. Why do we have him there? So the main thing that has raised him up, and I appreciate you highlighting it there, Emilio. Daniel Jeremiah, former NFL scout, has Jaire Campbell as his 13th overall prospect with his initial top 50. That is wild. Like that, when he's saying, "Hey, look, this dude is worthy of a top 20 pick,"
right?
If he's somehow sitting there in the second round, I doubt it. But if he falls to the second round to the Packers, we run that card up there, man. I'd be all about it. So that's the main thing that's got him so high on our board. If you go, well, I don't like Daniel Jeremiah. Okay, Dane Brugler has him at 23. Kyle Krabs had him at 40. The consensus big board had him at 32 at the end of the year. That is literally spot on with where we got him right now. And he was the 38th highest graded linebacker, according to PFF in college football last year.
You know, you talked about Quay. I'm looking at Campbell's numbers. He looks like a coverage guy too. You know, he's like a lot of coverage snaps, a lot of snaps in the run fit as well. You know, like so pass rush is probably not his main deal. You know, so having a guy that can cover some of these receivers and tight ends is not a bad look for the Packers at all.
Yeah, what's his measurables, Tim? You got his height.
Let's pull him up here.
6'3",
244, and he's Goody qualified at 21 years old. So,
oh my God, he's
that's probably our first round pick.
He's going to check all the boxes, right? Like now. How's he going to test at the combine? That's going to be big. And again, just a quick refresher. I'm not doing this for anybody else.
He runs a 4.5. He's picked.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yep.
So when are the linebackers? So the linebackers are already in town, right?
Yeah, they're first up.
Holy cow!
That'll be tomorrow. They're running.
Let's go,
man.
Let's go. Man. I'm logging into NFL Pro right now. Let's go.
Tim, I'm going to go ahead and get it loaded up. Make sure everything's set up.
Let's go. Set it to auto refresh. Let's
put it on every screen in the house. Miss Green can't get it off. She's over here trying to watch her show.
So the on-field workout that will include if they're doing, he may not be participating in everything. We'll find out in due time, I'm sure. So they'll do the measurements and the on-field workout. That does include the 40-yard dash, the shuttle, all that stuff, right? I would imagine. And then the next day it's the bench press, broadcast interviews, and then he'll depart Indianapolis. So it's got to be tomorrow, right, Emilio?
No, that's everything tomorrow. I think it'll be on TV. I'm guessing, they're just going to run through, do all the drills.
So keep an eye on Jaire Campbell out of Alabama. Another player we need to put the cheese emoji next to, thanks to Easton Butler, said the Packers met with SMU edge defender Elijah Roberts at the Shrine Bowl. I don't know if this is new information or not, Emilio. I think it kind of feels like it is, seeing that he just tweeted it out 13 hours ago. Yep. But did we have the cheese emoji next to him?
I did just update it right before we got.
So we did not have it before, though, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good deal. Tim, you got anything on edge defender out of SMU, Elijah Roberts?
6'4", 295, graded out as a 91.1 last year, according to PFF. 45 hurries, 8 sacks on the QB. Definitely an edge rusher. It's funny that the more I see these edges popping up in the conversation, it makes me think we might take a swing there too at some point in the draft for sure.
I think it's going to happen, man. I think with Goody's presser yesterday, him talking to the media, whatever you want to call it, there in the private setting, he was talking about we got to get pressure before. We got to get pressure before.
Yep.
And I love listening to comments at the end of the season because they're not worried about giving information out during the season that's going to tip their hand on what they're doing. Think back to what happened, guys. What did we see about midway through the season? You've seen all this touch spying going on. Mm-hmm. And what did Goody's comments yesterday? He's like, yeah, we had to make adjustments as we went along. That's the thing that kept popping in my mind is like, now they're probably looking at, okay, how do we get this defense to where they can really pin their ears back and get after the quarterback?
Matt said the same thing in his presser. We're trying to get to 4 under 3 or 3 high 4 under. And that's where we wanted to be. We were not that. And happy to work around it.
Goody fixed the safety room in one off season, so I'm fully convinced he can fix edge too, for sure. Yeah.
So Elijah Roberts, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tim.
I'm saying he's got to be pulling the trigger 2-3 times there at D-line edge. I mean, I think it's going to be I was listening to, I think it's PFF Pod. They said that the Atlanta Falcons, all 45 of their interviews, they are doing on defensive players.
Wow.
Not one offensive player are they interviewing at the combine, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's wild, man. So again, these are players that the Packers are meeting with at the combine, and then of course this one was at the Shrine Bowl.
Yep. We had Elijah Roberts at 112. His PFF 22 was 267. PFF 23 4th overall. PFF 24 6th overall.
Yep.
PFF Big Board 112. Consensus 166. And 33rd team did have him at 106.
He's at 75 right now on PFF's big board.
Yeah. If he's sitting there at 123,
yeah,
run that card up there. I'd be all right.
Yeah, because you put in the 25, or if you put in 75 for him there, I mean he'd jump way up.
Yep,
no doubt. All right, moving along, another player here from Easton Butler. The Packers and the Cardinals met formally with LSU edge defender Braden Swinson at the combine. Emilio, did he already have the cheese emoji that you know?
I do not believe so.
Bradyn is how that's spelled.
Bradyn. Swinson, he did not have it. He does now, though. He did go to the Shrine Bowl. Yep. And so
we've got him in the 91 spot, gang. So he is 91st on our board. He was the 74th highest graded edge in 23. He was the 41st in 24. The 33rd team had him in the 72 spot. Again, we've got him sitting at 91. Tim, do you got measurables on a Braden Swinson out of LSU? That's a big program there too.
6'4", 250. He's a big dog. Yep.
Yeah, 6'4".
83.3 grade last year. 9 sacks, 43 hurries, 8 quarterback hits. Yeah.
There you go.
But
another player on the radar here. We can hit on some of this stuff, or we can save it to tomorrow. We're at the hour 13 mark. Let's go ahead and hit this. Anything else you guys want to add to those prospects that we were just talking about? Anything else? We good?
Oh, I think
this is interesting. Rob Demoski put a tweet out. You guys know every year the NFLPA does a thing where the players will actually grade the organization. You remember us doing this last year, Tim?
Yes.
Yep.
So the Packers,
locker room and all that stuff, right?
According to Rob Demoski, the Packers finished 7th overall this year. They were 3rd last year and 6th the previous year. So they're just remaining in the top 10. I think that's good information, to be honest with you. If I clicked on that too, I thought he had another tweet attached. Here we go. Players praised team culture and gave high marks in dining, weight room, and training room. Per the survey, quote, the most common area the players feel is in need of improvement is the locker room. While the space is sufficient, players believe it should be renovated and upgraded. They're probably seeing all these other social media posts, Tim. You've been in the locker room. You know you've seen what it looks like. All these other ones are all high-tech, upgraded and everything, and the Packers like to kind of keep things traditional. I wouldn't be surprised if in the next year or two the Packers do some kind of revamping.
For sure. For sure. It's coming. I mean, they started with the priorities, right? You know, the training area, the weight room is improved. Player parking has been completely upgraded. These guys don't have to walk through the snow anymore to go to work. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, everything in due time, you know, and I'm sure having the draft here and a little extra revenue, that won't hurt, right? You know, maybe that'll be the next project is I would think revamping the locker room, and then at some point you got to think there's going to be some kind of upgrade or updating of the Hudson Center and the practice facility as well. So just give it some time,
Right.
I'll say
not spending a bunch of time in the locker room either. So
right.
We get through the interviews, get you out of there. I know the wood's not solid, but it's historic too. I think that helps.
Carly Ray says, how do you make the locker room high tech? Phone chargers in the lockers, automatic toilets. I think that what a lot of these locker rooms have been revamped with is they've got, and maybe the Packers have some of this. I'm speaking I'm a little ignorant right now when it comes to exactly how the locker room may or may not have been revamped. A lot of these lounge areas, pool tables, stuff like that, just TVs just more high tech, more like hanging out in a lounge.
Yeah, or like going the way of like a baseball clubhouse kind of mentality, rather than just a locker room, kind of a gathering place for the guys too, because it is more than just pregame and postgame, right? That's kind of like your home base when you're going in and out of work, practice, OTAs, camp, that kind of stuff. Your day begins and starts and ends in that locker room, obviously. So I think that's probably what it is, right? They probably want some of those plush seats, and I think Carly's right. Probably some chargers, get some Bluetooth going, get some flat screens in there. It's coming.
I immediately think of Major League, the movie, when they were cutting all the amenities on the players, trying to get them to lose. You know what I'm talking about? Remember they ended up putting the trolley motor, wasn't it the trolley motor?
Yeah, in the soaking tub.
Absolutely awesome. So I think this is the Packers rankings here from Rob Demoski. Treatment of families got a B. That's 12th best in the league. I'd love to see who's 32nd there, by the way. Like some just garbage organization that was treating the families like that. Yeah, the Bears. Food dining area A-. Man, they must be shipping some elk stroganoff downstairs.
Yeah, have to be.
That's exactly what they got. A little chute. They drop the elk stroganoff down. Nutritionist, dietitian A-. That was 7th best in the league. Locker room was a B. That was 12th best. Training room A-. That was 5th best. Training staff was a B. That's 16th. So that's kind of middle of the pack. Maybe people still mad about popping them pecs. You know what I'm saying? Could be the case there. Weight room an A. That was 5th best. Strength coaches, I guess, is there. Here it is. I apologize. It wasn't the training staff. It was the strength coaches. They got a B. That was 27th. So, yeah, everybody pissed off about them pecs popping. So, But you know what? They came in and kind of rattled the cages a little bit, sounds like. Team travel, A-. That was 9th best in the league. Head coach, A-, 20th best in the league. Now, when you get an A-, we're not going to sit here and kid ourselves into thinking that's a bad grade, right? That's not a bad grade. But if you're saying the players felt like they had the 20th best coach in the league, if you were to read it that way, and it's probably not an accurate way to read it, does that raise your all's eyebrows a little bit, or do you think everybody else is just lying?
Second answer.
I'm not reading into that.
I'm going with number 2. Yeah, I do think that Matt was cooking, and then you got other people just sitting there like, "Oh no, my coach was great." And
exactly
how many of the 20th got to the playoffs? You know what I mean?
Bingo. So. And then ownership A-, 11th.
Hey, we got an A-. Clay, look at that. Hey guys,
Tim, congratulations. Tim, get on the horn there. Call somebody and tell them we got an A- if you
Yeah, we'll get that grade up. We'll be an A+ next year.
So I did see something where they were specifically, I think with ownership, they were specifically talking about Mark Murphy and the job he's done. And they were very I want to say there was a couple of players that had mentioned it, or maybe Rob or somebody had reported on it. The players were very happy with Mark Murphy, and they felt like he was very engaged, very plugged in, giving the team, input, that type of thing. So I think that's really cool for sure. There's the overall ranking. So yeah, that's all we got on it. I thought that was cool, man. I like to see that come in every year. I think that's an interesting conversation.
Love it. 3rd year in a row in the top 10, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right. So we got that taken care of. Next, we already talked about Ja. I got to be careful with this next one, putting it on the screen. So let me scroll up a little bit. Let me do it this way. This might be a little bit easier. Talking about rules, right? And how they're constantly trying to make the game better. So Tom Pelissero put this tweet out, and it pissed me off. I ain't going to lie. The NFL is considering expanded replay assistance for several fouls in 2025, but only if they're called on the field. NFL executive Troy Vincent said today that putting down flags from New York is a, quote, non-starter, meaning this still wouldn't be called, talking about that face mask that did not get called on Sam Darnold. Here's the problem I got with this. This is going to turn into the same BS that happened before with the whole checking the pass interference calls. It's not going to be, oh, crap, we missed that. Look, the replay shows he clearly grabbed his face mask. You can't – that doesn't change anything. If I'm understanding – you guys correct me if I'm wrong. That would not change. You still can't do anything about that. But if a flag does happen on the field, they challenge it and it wasn't actually a flag, then they can pick the flag. Is that the way you guys are reading this too, or am I reading it completely wrong? How do you forget everything?
What it sounds like.
Give me your interpretation of it.
There would have to be something initiated on the field. That's what I'm gathering from this. In other words, the booth is not going to just say, hey, throw a flag. You know? So, yeah, I think that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, and am I wrong? Like, that bothers me. Like, that's the whole purpose. Is the point is get it right. Get the call right. You know what I mean? Like when Jordan Love got smacked in the face. You guys remember that, right? And he literally got punched in the face and no flag thrown. Right. And it's like, if they had thrown a flag for it, then they could go back and pick the flag up after review and go, he didn't actually touch his face. But in that situation there where he got smacked in the face, there was no flag. You can't review it and go, look, he got smacked in the face. What are we even doing?
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't know.
You guys know where I stand on this. We've talked about this before. I don't think the league is concerned at all with getting it right.
Exactly.
I don't think
they need that gray area, Tim.
They want to control outcomes. They want to influence games. That's hey, I'll say it. Can't cancel me. I'm a nobody. So I'll tell you right now.
On the ticker.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now. I don't think the league is interested in getting it right. We've seen that over and over again. Well, we don't have access to the all 22, the overhead cam. Oh, really? The one that would have shown you the correct call? The one camera out of 22, you don't have access to that one? That's not on accident, that's on purpose, right? So I don't think the NFL wants to get it right. They don't.
Yeah, Carly Ray says, but Clayton, if you give New York the ability to throw a flag, then you're essentially making them responsible for all fouls. The guys who have the best view would be responsible for the foul. Again, the goal should be to get it right. And that's what Tim's saying. Like, this reason I worded this tweet this way, Emilio, I said, as always, the league ignoring the obvious fix to the problem, therefore leaving room for fans questioning the integrity of the game. It's freaking unbelievable. It's like they want that blurred line there where they can kind of.
Yeah, I think this was literally made for like the Chiefs right tackle that jumps on the false start, and like maybe one time they can get him to overturn it back. You know what I mean? Like he gets all those false start jumps. It's like, all right, give me 5 of those yards back. I mean, you're going to get the occasional face mask, which was, half a pull. But I mean, nowadays they've been pretty good with that. They're not missing any of those big crazy calls, and the fact that you can only pick it up doesn't make any sense.
I got some advice for y'all. Take 2 weeks off, then quit.
Like 2-0 for this says, then wouldn't they have to technically call every time an offensive line holds? You can pick how the rule's worded. You could say this excludes holds, right? The big penalties, the pass interference penalties, the face mask penalties, right? Those are the ones to me that always have this huge outcome on the game. I understand what you're saying, 2-0 for this. Like you can still steer a game in a certain direction with holding calls. How many times did we see it, guys?
Oh, yeah.
A huge run get broke off on the Kansas City Chiefs. Somebody takes off up the field. They get 30 yards down the field. A hold gets called away from the play. That's wiped out. Bang, all of a sudden, Chiefs somehow come back and win a damn ball game. Right. Like it. In the one game this year, in my opinion, that it didn't happen, they got the crap kicked out of them in the Super Bowl. And it just kind of proved the point. Like, this is what happens when they don't get every single call. I don't know. I thought it was interesting. It wasn't surprising to me that they went this route because it's everything you guys just said. Like they want that leeway for sure.
Right.
So, let's see here. There was something else that I wanted to hit on real quick. We may save it for the morning. Let's save it for the morning show, Tim. So we're going to pick up tomorrow at let me see here. Actually, here's one to add to it since you're in here, Emilio. You can help me with this. Boston College edge defender on the Packers' radar, Tom Silverstein had put this out. So did we have them meeting with Donovan as Araku? It'd be easy. EZEIR, not EZE. Tim went, oh, you got the 8 ball.
Cruising down the street in my 6'4".
See if we've got the cheese emoji around him there, but it should be fairly easy to find. EZEIR. You type that in.
That's his nickname if we
draft him. But you want to know who he's right next to is Jaire Campbell.
Is he really?
In the third, he is in the 29th spot.
And he would have played for Coach Hafley, correct, in 2022?
That is correct, yes.
Here we go.
Yeah, unless he transferred over, and I don't think he did, right, Tim? You may have it pulled up there.
He was at BC in 2022. Yep.
Right.
All right, cool. So we got the cheese emoji on him, Emilio?
Yeah, I put it on there, but so we haven't technically met with him yet. So that's one we just need to keep an eye on. He's on the radar, but he it hasn't been a meet. I don't believe. Is that correct or what?
So what do you think, Tom? You know how I feel about Spoon. This is Tom Silverstein. This is most of his information is he's so close to the organization from a general manager standpoint.
Yeah.
Kind of like, what does this mean? That they told him
that if Jaire Campbell's gone at 23, we're taking Nazarica.
Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone.
I mean, think about it. If we're looking at our board, the guys that the Packers have met with in the top 32 is 1 Kenneth Grant at 15, 2 Walter Nolan at 23, 3 Donovan at 29, and 4 Jaire Campbell at 30.
All defense?
All defense.
Wow.
All defense, and 3 of them are D linemen. 1 of them's a linebacker.
Got it. All right, there you go. So no cheese emoji yet, right?
So I put it on him, but we need to remember to keep an eye on that. But I was going to ask you that Braden Swinson from LSU is on Easton's Excel sheet. It's bold for a formal visit. Do we want to do a different notation for that? Because he was bold.
Swinson. So yeah, we got to give him the we'll give him the Collinsworth designation.
Here's the guy.
So you're saying, I'm trying to follow you here. You're saying he's saying it's going to be a top 30 visit?
He said it was a bold as a formal visit at the NFL Combine. So I'm not sure. So like I think that they met with Campbell, but they said that Swanson was a formal visit.
Okay. I would just put a cheese emoji, but when we get the final top 30 visit list,
we'll double check it.
We'll do a target on them so we know to differentiate. Yeah, just throw the cheese up there. That'd be good. So give him the cheese. I want the goal. Give me the goal. All right. Anything else, boys? I know we went over on time. I apologize. I just want to get that in there while Emilio was here. And Tim, we'll pick up at some other stuff that was going around social media when we do the morning show tomorrow. So
awesome.
Perfect.
You have the floor, Tim. Parting thoughts.
Bye, Ja. Love you, bro. That's about it.
Tim fought this forever, man. Tim was like,
if you could have seen the excitement in my house the day that man was drafted, I mean, I almost got evicted. I made so much noise at my old place. I was hyped. I was hyped for Jaire, and looked really good there for first 2 to 3 years. Really looked good. But yeah, I guess
he played some good football, man.
Yep. So best of luck to him. Hopefully he goes to an AFC team. Get him the hell away from us.
Yeah, I'll see for Tim.
That don't say that, Clayton. Oh.
Go ahead, man.
I was going to say for Tim, I was just going to say welcome back, Ja. I'm glad we got your deal cut up, and I'm glad that
there we go.
This hammered out. Let's go chase that Lombardi.
I love it. Emilio's holding on to a little bit of hope. I love it.
Tim, can you read this comment for me here from Soul Turtles, please?
A package for Myles Garrett or Crosby immediately. Trade Jaire and our first round pick.
2-0 for this. Put a stamp on it here. He said, "Where's it at? Oh no, it's so far down, isn't it? Where's this soundbite?
You heard it from a fan right here.
Don't we still have that?
Tim right here.
Heard it from a fan right here.
Got it. Tim's on it. All right, Emilio, anything else, man? This show sucks so bad. Y'all hit the like button if the show sucks.
Yeah, please sub and hit the like, share, like Jacob says. Everybody, appreciate it.
Yeah, Coach Lynn hit the nail on the head. Hate to lose great football players. He is, but he's a great football player. Just, I think it's time, man. It feels like it. Again, he may go out there. There not be much of a market. Come back, restructure the deal. They come up with something, and he goes out and plays his best football.
Man, we get that Jaire back. This guy.
Took it down the sideline, turned over with my guys, gave the football to a little kid wearing 23.
There's not another player we had as many sound bites for. I'm just telling you.
And there's only 2 more years left on his deal. Work a number. Let's get him back, run it back, get out of here.
Emilio is that dude, Tim. Like, you're that guy. You correct me if I'm wrong. You're that guy, Tim, that's like, once the crap hits the fan, all right, burn it to the ground. Let's just go. All right, whatever the hell. I'm just tired of talking about it, right? Me, I'm over here like, okay, if we look at from this thing, that thing, and we're all fighting in the parking lot. Emilio's literally in between. Go, guys, calm down. It ain't that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal. I mean, we're the
$2 million
and we're cruising. I mean, the draft is coming. Days are passing. We're fine.
Which, by the way, last night I finally had to say, Mandy, go to sleep, because we're laying
How's
there.
That list coming. She got the
we're
list
laying there in
going
bed. Oh, forget the list. We're laying there in bed. And we're on Packers Pro Shop. We've got 75 things in the cart. We're going to buy 75 different shirts for 3 days of the draft. That's what's going to happen. And she's probably going to make me change my shirt every 2 hours or something. So now there's some cool stuff, though. If you guys haven't checked it out, go check out the NFL draft stuff. Really cool copy mugs. That was what I got most excited about. I'm like, ooh, add to the mug collection. But they got some really, really cool stuff. And most of it's blue, which is kind of weird. Something saying Green Bay on it, but it being blue. But, of course, that's the draft color. So I think it will be kind of a cool piece to have. So really cool football too. Blue and white football, NFL draft logo, Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's some awesome stuff.
Yeah, that's the type of stuff to grab. We're not gonna have a draft here for another 200 years or whatever it's gonna be. So definitely want to grab whatever you can for memorabilia.
Yeah. All right, guys. Appreciate y'all's time. If you would hit that like button on the way out. Thanks to everybody over on Rumble, on YouTube, on X. You guys and gals are absolutely awesome. We'll see you in the morning, 8:30 a.m. Central, for a little Good Morning Lambeau, PTA AM, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter. Nice. No matter what the name is, it's going to suck.
And we go.
Bye, guys.